Well, okay, I am a violinist, and I am a teacher. And that was the first phrase, or from the Grave movement of Bach, his sonata in G minor. It was my decision to perform it the way that I did. But how did I arrive at that decision? What led me to decide that this is the way the music should have been played? Through what depths of understanding did I comprehend that this note should be played softer and this note louder? Was there some intuitive spirit that told me or made me feel that it was the right thing to do, the right way to do it? Or did I just guess? Well, I'm not very crazy about the idea of some musically mystical, intuitive spirit guiding me through the choices that I have to make as a performer. I can't imagine what I would feel like if I had a concert in Carnegie Hall and the day before I had not heard from this intuitive creature. Well, I guess I need to have a plan, a strategy. I need to understand what and how I'm going to do the piece that I'm playing before I walk out onto that stage. I need to have practiced it with good, repetitive situations. I need to be absolutely sure that I can walk out in that extremely stressful situation and perform at the level that I did at home. Well, this is something that students need to desperately learn. How to organize their practicing so as to become more efficient and effective. So you see, as a teacher, there's a choice to be made in guiding those students towards that level of performance. And that question is, do I tell them to do it as I do it? Or do I ask them to explore how they would do it and help them to accomplish this? I mean, these days, we've grown into such a product-oriented musical culture that I guess the simplest way would be to look at the student and say, I did it this way, you do it that way. That would save time and give them a proven route to take, and thus guaranteeing a very successful product. Well, for me, this solution presents a huge problem, as it would seem that as musicians, we are so concerned with that product that we've forgotten how to look beyond and ask that very, very simple but essential question: why? Why did I get that result? How did I get that result? Does this result say what I believe to be true about the ideals that I feel in the music that I'm playing? Well, with this attitude so seemingly prevalent in our society, it's no wonder that all too often we just, as teachers, tell the student, I did it this way, you do it that way. Instead of encouraging them, guiding, and giving them the tools to explore just why they're doing it the way they are. Okay, let's perhaps have a look at a particular part of performance which is called intonation, or playing in or out of tune. You see, pitch is a very, very important thing for musicians. And it's a very, very difficult subject, but let me try to show you what I mean. Now, some of you might have understood that the notes were not played the way they should have been. Some of you, whose ears are maybe a little bit, whatever, may have just felt something very uneasy inside and have looked at the person sitting next to them and said, is that what they're supposed to be playing? Well, you're both right, as I did purposely play it out of tune or with bad intonation. Now, how did I get to understand that it was out of tune? Well, when I was 5 years old, I had a piano teacher who introduced me to the concept of major and minor. We're getting into the heavy terms now, major, minor. She said, when it's major, it's happy. And when it's minor, it's sad. Well, that really stuck with me. And it was the beginning of my musical, or shall we say theoretical understanding of music. So then, from then on, when I heard anything that sounded happy, I said, that's major. And when I heard something sad, I went, okay, that's minor. So, it's through teaching this very, very basic understanding that I can get a young child to hear the difference between minor, or another phrase, half step, and major, a whole step. With this understanding, the child can come to grips with assessing whether their finger is in the right place or the wrong place, whether it's too close or too far away from another. As pitch is measurement, this means they are learning to play in tune. But you see, here's what I didn't do. I didn't look at them and say, okay, it's too high, lower it. Or, okay, it's too low, lower it. I remember once someone looked at me and they said, Bill, this is a leading tone. You have to play it higher. And I was crazy, inside my head I thought, okay, great, how much higher? He couldn't tell me that, So let's look at another possibility. Let's look at the bow. I tell my students, if you hold your bow one way, this is a bow, for those of you who don't know, okay? If you hold your bow one way, it produces one kind of sound. But to be a really wonderful violinist, you need at least 1,000 different sounds. So, how many ways do you think you need to hold the bow? 1,000. Well, can you really remember 1,000 different ways to do something? I don't know. Maybe you guys are smarter than I am. I am not of that category, so I need another way. So, I take it to one starting point, and from that point, I can give them the tools to understand how, not only to remember what those different places on the bow are, but how to relate that to a sound. For example, if I take these two fingers, my middle two fingers, and I push it way down on the bow, it gets a really rough and gruff sound. If I take those same two fingers and I move them a little higher, I get a very sweet sound. These, and all the possibilities in between, completely open up the range of expression the student has at their disposal with the right hand. Another tool could be just simply from the gesture of putting their finger on the string. For example, if I want it, and if I put my fingers really softly, it could be something that's very sweet. just from putting my fingers softly on the string. Or if I want more force, I put my fingers down with more force. So through these explorations, I'm helping the student to find and develop the tools that they will need to be able to make the different sounds that they hear in their head, feel in their heart, when they're playing Bach, Mozart, or Sibelius. Using these tools, I will be able to ask them about what they hear and see how I can help them in a particular phrase to project that vision to the public. To do this, though, they really need to be equipped to ask and explore why. One of my teachers, Steve Clapp, who I studied with at the Blair School of Music in Nashville, Tennessee, once said to me, "Do you know, Bill, do you know what my job is?" Well, my job is to put myself out of a job. And this is exactly what I try to do with my teaching. I try to provide my students with the tools necessary to be able to search without me telling them the answers. In doing this, I know that eventually I will not be necessary, and that's a good thing. So, it's extremely important that I'm not telling them what to do. I'm getting them to explore, to look around, to hear, to ask themselves, do I like what I'm hearing? And if they don't, they have the tools, because I've helped them acquire them, to make a decision, make a choice about what to do to fix it. As their teacher, I am not there to say, no, 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 do it this way. I'm there to help them explore and realize the expression they wish to accomplish in a particular phrase, to find a way that portrays their ideals. So, how do you prepare a student physically, mechanically, and mentally for all of this? So it's daunting. You know, I love my teachers, and I have to confess that the amount of grief I gave to them was unfathomable. But through their patience and understanding, I learned how to ask why. They accepted me asking, and they didn't throw me out of their studio when I did. With my teacher, Miss DeLay, at the Juilliard School, she would say, oh, she had this beautiful scarf, and she would sit and she would go, oh, Billy, that's gonna be so good. You know what she never said? She never said it was good. Always, oh, that's gonna be, you know. And then she would say, okay, let's search and see what we can do to make it even better. Let's experiment. And we would search and search, we'd try things and do things, and finally, we'd find a way that helped me to express what I was trying to express out of that phrase. But you know what she never said? She never said, do it this way, Billy. It's in this spirit that I've built my teaching ethic, which you could say is never telling a student what to do, but guiding them, preparing them, helping them to understand the importance of asking why for themselves. So, what about you? What about all you guys? What about asking people around you those tough why questions? You know, if you can do that, it really, really empowers everyone, from supervisors to subordinates, teachers to students, parents to children, friends, especially parents to children, friends, family. Asking why gives us an idea, a task, a relationship, and brings our lives even more meaning. So, as I sit here to talk about it, I am sure, I'm more and more sure, don't tell your English teachers I said that, you know, that by doing this and thinking this way and teaching this way, I am in effect putting myself out of a job. And That's a very good thing. Thank you.